Look at the man on the far right sitting down. These people are in my family. You can tell the Igbos are the most dramatic example of strength. This woman is from a royal bloodline and she is tall. Okay, I'd go as far as to say she's taller than the man. Look at the height of the chair she's sitting on versus the height of the chair he's sitting on. And the fact and her posture versus his. Why does she feel the need to do that? Because height is part of African masculinity. If God hates ugly, who's ugly? Jacob Rothschild or the Ethiopians? Whose family has people that look like Ethiopians? Me or Jacob Rothschild? Now, granted, some of my family are more Hamitic looking and some are slightly more Shemitic looking, right? Well, that's my argument in the first fucking place, isn't it? Who's closely related to the Egyptians? And aren't Jews just Africans, is one way to look at it? They were there for 400 years. What does it take to be an African? If not starting in Africa, going back for 400 years and leaving. Blacks migrated that way. Oh yeah, they were black. So Ethiopia is the most dramatic example of God's beauty. The most beautiful people in the world. And you see this in some other places being shown. Belize, etc. And they use their women to place their men in positions of power like every other disenfranchised people. But they are a little bit better at it in the gang world, perhaps. If you look at streetgangs.com's interviews, for example. And they managed to be in the spotlight more for whatever reason, right? H Crown, that one Blood, and so on. And that one, I believe that one guy from H Crown, I don't know. But anyway, some of you don't know what I'm talking about. You don't watch my other videos. Let me just, explore this a little more. So Ethiopia is the most dramatic example of God's beauty. And Nigeria is the most dramatic example of God's strength, naturally, okay? And Africa and Egypt is the most dramatic example of God's natural intellect expressed through men. One could argue that that is one way to look at the Trinity. Mind, body, and soul. God hates ugly, right? The mind is Egypt, okay? The body is Ethiopia. Why? They're beautiful. What better attribute to have for a body when you look at the body by itself without the martial arts scale than beauty? Even with a martial arts scale, there's a certain beauty attached to it, right? The beauty of beating your enemy. Oh, it's a wonderful thing. Even if your style seems sloppy to other people, isn't it beautiful to crush them in the name of your God nonetheless? So then who is the soul? Who's the soul brother that the white man went out of his way to grab because he's a demonic slave trader during that period of time, at least? Who? Oh, right. So the soul is with the strength, because martial arts are the core of religion, especially African religion. Zulu, Shaka Zulu, Sagiti, wearing leopard outfits. Now, the effeminate scribe would have you think that the leopard outfit is simply spiritual, or the emphasis is almost completely spiritual, and only a brute would see it otherwise. But of course, it is a martial arts symbol of African divine war arts, first and foremost. And everyone who's African knows that.